我肯定可以的。
啊，当然如此。今天天气真好，我真想到外面去这。
天气很好，我们这里这几天都蛮好的。
我想是这样的，我想回去做院子。
哦，你的院子大吧？
很小。
哦，那你种花吧。
The interpreter may be the only person in the courtroom who can understand and talk to a defendant or to a witness. There's a natural human tendency that when you're all alone in a place and there's only one person you can talk to, you want to open up to that person and engage in a very intimate conversation with him or her. But this is to be avoided if we allow ourselves to become involved on a personal level with the defendants or the witnesses. Then our impartiality could come into question by the other party.
In a jury trial, the interpreter can have no contact with any member of the jury. Interpreters should avoid undue conversation with attorneys in any proceeding. It is appropriate for the interpreter to ask attorneys to get information or documentation needed to do a good job. But if a defense or prosecuting attorney asks the interpreter to deliver instructions or review or explain documents to a defendant or witness without the attorney present, the interpreter must respectfully decline.
Quiero comprarme una bolsita de pretzel.
I hope so, but pardon me, I'm starving to death. I'd like to get a bag of pretzels.
Gracias.
Oh, excuse me. You'll be interpreting for our next defense witness who's outside in the hall. He'll refer to these documents. Please take them to him and explain that they're Mr. White's notes so he knows what I'm referring to when I question him.
I'm sorry, Counselor, but I can't do that.
What do you mean you can't do that? I need him to know what these are.
Yes, but it wouldn't be right for me to have such contact with a witness.
But they're just some handwritten notes from the defendant's boss.
But I'm not at liberty to speak to a witness without you being present. It would be inappropriate. As an interpreter, I am to remain impartial.
But listen... Oh, of course, you're right. I'm sorry I asked you to do that.
If any situation or problem comes up that interferes with the interpreter's ability to keep a professional distance, the interpreter should immediately notify the Office of Interpreting Services or the Clerk of Court's office. An interpreter should bring to the judge's attention any time he or she is unable to interpret accurately. For example, if interpreter fatigue begins to affect performance after an extended and uninterrupted period of interpretation.
I will confer with the pretrial services officer today or tomorrow at the latest, and we'll have an answer for you then.
Very well.
Excuse me, Your Honor?
Yes, Ms. Chin, you have a question?
Yes, Your Honor. The defendant asks to be placed in a halfway house while awaiting trial. Detention causes him great anguish. So, for that reason...
In some cases, a court may authorize two interpreters working together and unobtrusively switching off at appropriate intervals.
And what does the government feel about that?
We would ask to deny that request.
Who did the detention hearing?
I believe it was Judge Hanson, Your Honor.
Well, I'm not prepared to rule on that today. File a motion and I'll rule on that. Are there any guns in this case?
No.
And who are the family members?
His father and two brothers.
This avoids interrupting the proceedings and preserves the accuracy of the interpretation by preventing interpreter fatigue. The off-mic interpreter should remain in the courtroom and pay attention to the progress of the trial.
Well, as I said, I'm not going to rule on that today. Are there any other questions?
Yes, Your Honor.
This resource is not available in all courts and is within the discretion of the court. This introduction has given you a basic understanding of the interpreter's task and obligation when interpreting in court. Interpreters play an important role in these proceedings.
All of the parties in the courtroom depend on your performance. It isn't just the defendant who may be listening to your simultaneous translation. Every party needs to have a correct translation done so that the judicial process can work in the way it was designed to work.
The accurate and impartial language service interpreters provide helps ensure fairness to all non-English speaking defendants in criminal proceedings and helps the federal courts do their work effectively.